then
Yeah.
and I showed you where those points were on the back, right? So I'll get rolling on this. Hopefully I'll have some land clear still and stuff, and then you how many call you when we're done here, let me know what I got going on and what we're gonna do. You want to move these wheels like wheels are up here? So wheels up here so I have system. Oh, okay. Well, that's a great neighborhood.
Yeah. I talked about this. Turn that color goes with it on the sale. Whenever you're done with the video, if you want to just like go close it, just enter button.
Yeah, go down. Yeah, no problem. I can do that. Well, I'll set around the end of the
Perfect.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
institutions of government respect one another, including the administration respecting the judgment and the power of the courts, Allie.
Yeah, the location of where that pushback was happening struck me too, Susan. But Meredith, are administration officials or Republican campaign sources you're talking to concerned you?
Migrant was mistakenly returned to a mega prison there. That is interesting to me. That means this may be striking a point to Americans, and it's not quite fair what happened to him, and that they want to make sure that the institutions of government respect one another, including the administration respecting the judgment and the power of the courts, Allie.
Yeah, the location of where that pushback was happening struck me too, Susan. But Meredith, are administration officials or Republican campaign sources you're talking to concerned yet about possible political impacts coming down the road? There's still a long ways to go until the midterms, but not that long.
You know, it's certainly something that I think the administration and Republicans across the board are paying attention to. And even though the midterms are a long ways off, as you know, the race to get organized for them is already on. And, you know, we saw just recently how President Trump asked Elise Stefanik, the congresswoman from New York, to actually go back to Congress and not be the UN ambassador because the margins in the House are just so tight. And the president and the people around him know that if they want to be able to enact some of these sweeping legislation that they've proposed, that they're going to have to work with really close margins, and they can't afford to lose any seats, or he's going to be a lame duck pretty soon.
Meredith, I'm so glad that you brought up Elise Stefanik, because we've got a little bit of breaking news we're going to get to there. But for now, Susan Page, Meredith McGraw, thank you. And sources telling NBC News that Republican New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is now exploring a bid for governor of New York next year. Her decision comes after President Trump withdrew her nomination to be the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. And joining me now with this new reporting is NBC News senior political reporter Sahil Kapoor. Sahil, how might Stefanik, considering a race, impact the concerns that Meredith was just talking about there? The balance of power in the House, that's the very thing that supposedly brought Stefanik back into the congressional fold. And then how does this impact her fellow congressmen, people like Mike Lawler, say, who were also considering a bid for governor?
Yeah, that's right, Ali. This is big news in the world of Capitol Hill and New York politics. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is considering a run for New York governor. That's according to two sources who spoke to our colleague Mel Zanona, who just broke this news. One of those sources said that Stefanik has been encouraged by others in New York and in Trump world, as well as Republican donors, to jump into the race, that she is now considering it. Of course, this comes after a roller coaster several months for Elise Stefanik. She was nominated to be ambassador to the UN by Trump, and then recently he kind of made an abrupt U-turn and said, actually, no, Congresswoman Stefanik, you need to stay in the House. The margins are too narrow, and I need you in the House. That was Trump's view of it. She gave up her leadership position in that interim, and once she was asked to stay in the House, they kind of invented a new leadership position for her called Chairwoman of the House Republican Leadership. Not really clear what that does. Clearly, she's looking at her options otherwise. Now, you mentioned Mike Lawler. He is also considering a run for governor. These two have different brands of politics. Lawler is relatively newer. He's got a more centrist brand than Elise Stefanik, who was first elected in 2014 as a moderate. Somewhere around 2018, 2019, she changed her stripes, became a self-described ultra-MAGA member. The primary of this is unclear how this is going to shake out, Ali, but Governor Kathy Hochul, the Democrat, is vulnerable. A new Marist poll shows her approval rating at just 39%. If she runs, you can see why Republicans think they can make a run at her.
Yeah, definitely. And I had many conversations with Congresswoman Stefanik in the lead up to the 2024 election as Republicans were trying to make the argument that they could make inroads there. Ultimately, they did. Not enough by any means to flip the state, but they're seeing things that they like in the way that the New York political scene is turning. Clearly, both Stefanik and potentially Lawler could take advantage of that in different ways. But a notable development here. Sahil Kapoor, thank you for bringing us that news. And coming up next, the fallout from the president's tariff offensive with more economic uncertainty on the horizon. You're watching MSNBC.
Lumify? It's kind of amazing. Wow. My go-to is Lumify eye drops.
Lumify dramatically reduces redness
In 1 minute.
and look at the difference.
My eyes look brighter and whiter.
For up to 8 hours.
Lumify really works. See for yourself.
Most people don't realize how processed typical dog food is. At the Farmer's Dog, we believe dogs should be able to get their daily nutrition without the excess processing.
Got an itchy throat from allergies? Claritin Liquid provides powerful all-day allergy relief in an instantly soothing liquid. For relief of even your most irritating symptoms, like an itchy throat. Claritin Liquid. Live Claritin Clear.
These bills are crazy.
She has no idea she's sitting on a gold mine. She doesn't know that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she can sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy. Even a term policy? Even on term!
Find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Call Coventry Direct today at 800-738-1300 or visit CoventryDirect.com.
Birthdays. We're good at remembering them, but we're not always great at celebrating them.
You use the same towers as Big Wireless, so you get the same coverage.
For unlimited talk and text with reliable coverage and your second month free, call Consumer Cellular.
Watch this. It's all 100% real. Witness what happens to this woman's bags under her eyes in an actual time lapse in just minutes. Nothing has been doctored or tampered with. The very real problem will disappear before your eyes and hers with a revolutionary topical formulation that works in just minutes, and the effects will last for hours and hours. Over 1 million people are using this topical technique to visually reduce puffiness and bags. It works on sagging jowls, even fine lines and wrinkles on the face and forehead. Introducing Plexiderm. In just minutes, you can restore and beautify your face, even look years younger. And the look will last all day or all evening.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm just in love with the mirror right now.
Jump on board and say yes to this amazing $14.95 Prove It Plexiderm trial. You'll see why our customers describe Plexiderm with 3 words. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Order right now. We'll pay your shipping. Operators are standing by.
You can cook anything, anytime, anywhere. Only on the Blackstone, America's best-selling wood. Log on to BlackstoneProducts.com to get yours today.
Oh, my leaf filter? I just scheduled an appointment online and the inspection was a breeze. They explained everything.
Leaf Filter's technology protects your gutters for good.
Now, my home's protected.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
This is Michelin quality olive oil, starting at $16. Graza, single origin olive oil that's made to be used. So you can sizzle like a chef, drizzle like a chef, and frizzle like a chef. It's olive oil the way it should be. Always fresh, never blended. It's more than just cooking. It's creating something special. Plus, our eco-friendly refills keep your bottle and your stomach full. Graza, for the chef in all of us.
AI can turn your lights on.
Lights on.
And drive your car. And even write your kid's essay. But AI ain't gonna fix your broken water line or pay for the big repair bill. Having a plan from HomeServe offers real solutions. And when a covered system breaks, we'll send a qualified contractor to pay for the repair. There's nothing artificial about the peace of mind you get with a plan from HomeServe. Getting one is quite intelligent.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
Call 1-833-812-1983 or visit HomeServe.com.
The Trump administration's trade war sparking a Treasury sell-off. But who's behind those sales? Speculation on Wall Street is it could be the United States' second largest creditor, China. This adding even more turmoil to the marketplace since President Trump announced steep tariff hikes 2 weeks ago today. And the Wall Street Journal reports Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is planning to use tariff negotiations to pressure more than 70 U.S. trading partners in an effort to isolate China. Jennifer Welch is the chief geoeconomics analyst at Bloomberg, and Douglas Irwin is a college professor of economics at Dartmouth. Both of them join us now. Jennifer, we're 2 weeks now out since President Trump launched this trade war. What's your reaction to how trading partners are responding, and of course the markets broadly?
So the vast majority of U.S. trading partners are prioritizing negotiation over retaliation. Clear exception to this would be China, obviously, and also the EU to a certain degree, which has been talking with the administration, but still feels like it's not getting a lot of traction, has been preparing retaliatory measures, and has already responded to the steel and aluminum tariffs launched back in March. I think in terms of the path forward, a lot of these partners are going to come to the table with concessions.
Yeah, that is is a key piece. And when you talk about the EU, they've already been held at arm's length on issues like foreign policy. So this economic piece is just yet another measure of the U.S. government now putting daylight between our allies in Europe. But Doug, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the U.S. is planning to pressure other trading partners in order to isolate China's economy in exchange for tariff reductions. Is that a strategy that's going to work, and could it potentially backfire?
Well, there's actually a way of doing that, and it's called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That was an agreement that the Obama administration reached with a bunch of Pacific Rim countries. President Trump pulled out of it upon taking office, and now in some sense we're trying to recreate that, recreate an alliance, a bloc, a trade bloc against China. And the problem is that many countries have extensive trade ties with China, and they're sort of loath to give that up fully in exchange for a very uncertain access to the U.S. market, since U.S. tariffs can go up and down on the president's whim.
Jennifer, what's your reaction to this then? Is China better equipped to withstand this period of short-term pain because they've been preparing for something like this?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, China's been preparing this for years, right? This very much fits President Xi Jinping's view of the United States, lashing out at China, trying to contain China. And part of his policy has been to reinforce China's ability for indigenous production and sort of self-reliance, right? At the same time, for China, the U.S. is their single largest market. This is going to cause a lot of pain, and that's why we start to see Beijing preparing measures to try and support its economy and to keep its populace in line. But I think the more these tariffs start to bite, the more the pain is going to be felt on both sides.
Yeah, and then Doug, China is taking advantage here on a few fronts because they're filling the vacuum left by the U.S. as DOGE rolled back our soft power through programs like USAID. But then the ongoing trade war now only gives them more of an opening, right?
It is, and that's why President Xi has been visiting Southeast Asian countries to try to take advantage of the U.S. Sort of hitting them. Will still be open to you, and so it gives them a diplomatic advantage in Southeast Asia as well as just the economic one of remaining keeping the trade ties in a robust way with those other countries.
But then the U.S. has also added further complications to this because it's not just trying to re-regulate trade to an acceptable way that the president sees it, but it's also a potential TikTok deal. It's also stopping the flow of fentanyl. All of these various things are swirling now in this one pot.
Absolutely. And Beijing earlier in the year was saying when the tariffs were just in place over fentanyl, it wasn't sure what the United States wanted. Now that you're adding in tariffs, reciprocal tariffs, additional tariffs that are retaliatory tariffs, I think the what is the scope for a deal?
What is the starting point? What is the scope for a deal? And what is the timeline? Because the specifics on a timeline have been so light. Jennifer Welch and Doug Irwin, thank you, both of you, for coming on. And coming up next, fresh analysis of the Trump administration's latest attempts to negotiate with Iran and prevent more chaos in the Middle East. You're watching MSNBC.
It's a rare thing when someone you've been with so long finds a way to surprise you. It's like discovering each easy-to-use platform now comes with the power of Morgan Stanley.
We can speak Oris. Your cardiovascular system is at the center of your heart health and at the center of every blood pressure supplement from human, clinically studied plant-based ingredients, inspired by groundbreaking science for all the moments your heart beats for. Get started today at livehuman.com.
When we started feeding Dougie, the farmer's dog, he lost so much weight. 3-portion packs makes it really easy to keep him lean and healthy.
In the morning, he flies up the stairs and hops up on my bed. In the past, he would not have been able to do any of those things.
You founded your kayak company because you love the ocean, not spreadsheets. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your family's comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning.
The winds are not letting up at all here. We're going to see some power outages.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages.
Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator. When a power outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up using your home's existing natural gas or propane, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Stay tuned to get over a $500 value free on the most popular.
With the Generac, we don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
Having a Generac takes a lot of the anxiety out of there cannot be a storm.
After the hurricane happened,
Hello?
Hello, Russell?
Yep.
Hi, it's Nate with Lucid. I have a question for you. I'm still at your house.
Okay.
I'm trying to connect your car to your home's internet, and I'm trying to figure out which one of these is yours.
Oh,
Game Hinge here.
Game Hinge.
Okay. And listen, if you don't want to give it to me, that's okay. But can I have the password to enter in your car so I can connect your car to the internet?
You know what? Do the Game Hinge guest one. That's the only one that I know off the top of my head. I've got the other one written down, and it's like a long, drawn-out one.
No worries.
Designed, engineered, and built in the USA, 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac and have thousands of satisfied customers.
How many times have you heard people say, I never want to go through that again? But the next time you get through it, don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
Call or go online now to request your free quote with one of Generac's nationwide dealers. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Call or go online now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to request your free quote today.
Food is Gina's passion, but diabetes is starting to take that all away. With Dexcom G7, Gina learned how different foods affect her sugar levels in real time, so she doesn't have to choose between the foods that she loves and her health.
Got an itchy throat from allergies? Claritin Liquid provides powerful all-day allergy relief in an instantly soothing liquid. For relief of even your most irritating symptoms, like an itchy throat. Claritin Liquid. Live Claritin Clear.
It's AARP.
Are you joining AARP?
Actually, I just did.
Call or go to joinaarp.org to join today for just $15 for your first year with automatic renewal, and your second membership is free. And get instant access to discounts on eye care, prescriptions, savings on travel, dining, and deals from top retailers. So many ways to save. Instant resources, tools, and tips to help manage your money, maximize your health, and so much more. Member offers find you wherever you are. And AARP is the largest advocacy group for people over 50. Your voice will be heard.
I'm nowhere near ready to retire, and AARP has been a tremendous resource for that.
I love the local retail discounts. And we check out the hotels, get dining. AARP saves us a lot of money.
Join and get an insulated truck organizer free, plus AARP the magazine.
Call 1-800-410-9787 or go online today.
We're just days away from another round of talks on Iran's escalating nuclear program. Now, Tehran is taking a firm stance, saying its right to enrich uranium is non-negotiable. But the White House has been sending some mixed messages. On Monday, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, President Trump's chief negotiator with Iran, seemed to suggest Tehran might still be able to produce uranium at low levels. Then on Tuesday, Witkoff reversed his position, writing on X, Iran must stop and eliminate its nuclear enrichment and weaponization program. Joining me now is Ned Price, former senior State Department and CIA official. Ned, President Trump says he wants to make a deal with Iran, but then he's also threatened a military strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. So what's Trump actually looking for here? It seems like there's a lot of mixed messaging.
Well, there certainly is, Allie. I can't argue with that. And in fact, there's a great irony to all of this. Look, I had a front row seat to our engagement with Iran during both the Obama and Biden administrations. And one of the challenges we faced in the context of both administrations was the schism in Iran, the schism between hardliners, that is to say those who were opposed at nearly all costs to engagement with the United States and with the West more broadly, and with the relative moderates, those who were willing to at least engage if Iran were able to engage in effective diplomacy. The irony now is that we also have a schism in Washington. There is a deep schism between and within the Trump administration. You have those hardliners, that is to say those who have long been beating the drums of war against Iran. People like Marco Rubio, people like the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. While on the other hand, you have those who are skeptical of military adventurism in the Middle East, having learned at least some of the lessons of the past 20 plus years. People like Pete Hegseth, people like Vice President J.D. Vance, people it seems like Steve Witkoff. So as the Trump administration embarks down this path, and by the way, I'm glad they're talking, I'm glad they're engaging in diplomacy, but first things first, they have to figure out what they're for, they have to figure out what they want, and they haven't yet done that very clearly.
But even President Trump came into office with a much harder line on Iran. I used to hear it all the time on the campaign trail, even in 2015 and 2016. But now in office, we've seen some reversals. So what does that mean for negotiations and for negotiators who are in the room trying to correctly represent the positions of this administration?
Well, I think Steve Witkoff really personifies that. Just as you said, over the course of some 18 hours, from Sunday evening to Monday morning, we saw a total reversal. On Sunday, Steve Witkoff saying that our sole red line, really, that is to say, the only thing we cared about was weaponization, that Iran couldn't produce a nuclear weapon, that could have an enrichment program enriching perhaps up to 3.67%. By Monday morning, that was totally gone. And now Witkoff is maintaining that Iran must not have an enrichment program at all. The challenge, Ali, is that beyond these mixed messages in the public domain, that came after the first negotiating session, or at least the first engagement with Iran. So who knows what Steve Witkoff and those around him actually told the Iranians, and the Iranians in some ways would be right to be scratching their heads about what it is that the United States wants. Look, again, I think diplomacy with Iran is a good thing. I think direct diplomacy with Iran would be an even better thing, because there would be nothing more devastating than a conflict with Iran. But the challenge we face, and the reason I'm skeptical this will get anywhere, is because half of the administration has long wanted to go to war with Iran. Some in the administration, including a senior DoD official, have maintained that a nuclear armed Iran is actually okay. We should just figure out how to live with it. And meanwhile, most of the national security principals in this administration are just out to lunch and tilting at DEI windmills. I'm also concerned that Steve Witkoff, the lead negotiator in this, has about 3, maybe 4 weeks of experience in Iran's nuclear program. That is all the while he's going to be sitting across the table from Iran's nuclear negotiators. And I can tell you that Iranians are among the best, most effective, most tenacious negotiators the world over. And to be faced with someone who has a mere few weeks of experience with this very complex issue, that's not a good recipe for success for the United States.
Yeah, certainly that is a concern that I have heard from foreign policy experts who say that while Witkoff might be able to have Trump's confidence and Leslie carry his message, which is so critical in these kinds of negotiations, it's also the inexperience that does concern them, and the trust that might be misplaced in people like Putin and other actors as he goes down his negotiation holes. Ned Price, thank you for joining us and for your expertise on this. And that does it for me this hour. I'll see you way too early tomorrow at 5 a.m. Eastern, and then again right here at noon. In the meantime, Chris Jensen reports starts after a short break.
Trains. Trains that use the power of Dell AI and Intel. Clearing the way so you arrive exactly where you belong.
Dangerous ladders, gutter muck. Ugh, no wonder you hate cleaning your gutters. Good thing there's leaf filter. Our patented filter technology keeps leaves and debris out of your gutters forever. Your 3 leaf filter to get started and get the permanent gutter solution that ends clogs for good.
They took the time to answer all of our questions. They really put us at ease.
And clog gutters for good. Call 833 Leaf Filter or visit leaffilter.com today.
For gentle, dependable constipation relief, try Seneca.
It will
works differently than other laxatives because it's made from the senna plant, a natural vegetable laxative ingredient. Gentle, dependable Seneca.
Also available in delicious gummies.
Watch this. It's all 100% real. Witness what happens to this woman's bags under her eyes in an actual time lapse in just minutes. Nothing has been doctored or tampered with. The very real problem will disappear before your eyes and hers with a revolutionary topical formulation that works in just minutes, and the effects will last for hours and hours. Over 1 million people are using this topical technique to visually reduce puffiness and bags. It works on sagging jowls, even fine lines and wrinkles on the face and forehead. Introducing Plexiderm. In just minutes, you can restore and beautify your face, even look years younger. And the look will last all day or all evening.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm just in love with the mirror right now.
Jump on board and say yes to this amazing $14.95 Prove It Plexiderm trial. You'll see why our customers describe Plexiderm with 3 words. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Order right now. We'll pay your shipping. Operators are standing by.
For people who feel limited by the unpredictability of generalized myasthenia gravis, season to season, Autopilot is continuous symptom control with improvement in activities of daily living and reduced muscle weakness. And Autopilot is the only long-acting GMG treatment with a freedom of just 6 to 7 infusions per year. For a predictable routine, I can count on.
Ultomiris may lower your immune system's ability to fight infections, increasing your chance of serious meningococcal and other infections, which may become life-threatening or fatal. Complete or update meningococcal vaccines at least 2 weeks before you start. If treatment is urgent and you're not vaccinated, you should receive antibiotics with your vaccines. Don't start if you have a meningococcal infection. Infusion reactions may include back, belly, liver, chest pain, muscle spasms, blood pressure changes, tiredness, shaky chills, bad taste, breathing problems, or face tone or throat swelling. Ultomiris is continuous symptom control. Ask your neurologist about starting Ultomiris.
Monos just released their aluminum luggage. The aluminum collection by Monos is made for the next generation of travelers. Those who seek quality, style, and a little adventure wherever they go. Inside the luxury black quilted taffeta aluminum signature deck pattern and thoughtful organization system speaks to Mono's commitment to detail and design. The new aluminum collection is the perfect travel companion and is ready to go wherever life takes you.
These bills are crazy.
She has no idea she's sitting on a gold mine. She doesn't know that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she can sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy. Even a term policy? Even a term!
Find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Call Coventry Direct today at 800-798-1300 or visit CoventryDirect.com.
Go beyond the headlines with the MSNBC app. Read, listen, and watch live breaking news and analysis anytime, anywhere. Go beyond the what to understand the why. Download the MSNBC app now. Morning Joe, weekday 6 to 10 on MSNBC.
Good day, I'm Chris Chancing live at MSNBC headquarters in New York City. Comply or face contempt. A judge warning the Trump administration they are to halt deportations to El Salvador and fix the situation. As it stands, he argues the White House is making a mockery of the Constitution itself. So what happens now? Plus, confronting Congress, a growing number of chaotic town halls, voters venting as public fury builds to a level we haven't seen in a long time. What it means for Republicans forced to stand against constituents by standing up for Donald Trump's policies. And 2 aides to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, escorted out of the Pentagon by security officers, will explain why they're being investigated and why they had to go. A lot to get to, but we begin with that breaking news. A major escalation in the growing fight over the Trump administration's deportation flights. A federal judge says he has probable cause to hold the administration in criminal contempt for not following his order to turn around planes that were already in the air, setting up the potentially precedent-setting pace. The immigration fight is now explosive in the courts, in Congress, with Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen landing just a short time ago in El Salvador, the destination of those controversial flights, and in town halls across the country just last night, where the issue exploded as Republicans in Congress faced angry and frustrated constituents. But to start, let's talk about the administration facing a frustrated judge. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez is reporting from the White House. MSNBC legal analyst, former U.S. attorney, and Michigan law professor Barbara McQuaid is here as well. Barbara, what I've been able to get through in this, the judge did not mince words in his response to the government. Let me read just one part of it. The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders, especially by officials of a coordinate branch who have sworn an oath to uphold it. To permit such officials to freely annul the judgments of the courts of the United States would not just destroy the rights acquired under those judgments, it would make a solemn mockery of the Constitution itself. What else stands out to you in this order? What do we need to know about it?
Well, the judge wasn't going to let this go. This was the hearing where he conducted a hearing. He said if there are planes in the air, they must turn around because none of these people has had the due process to which they are entitled, notice, and an opportunity to be heard. And the government hedged and changed its story many, many times, and now the judge has put together a very detailed timeline that makes it clear, according to the judge, that there was a willful violation of his order. He said, don't remove anybody. A plane took off after he issued that order. And so now he finds this willful violation. He said he's going to give the government an opportunity to correct its error by giving these men the opportunity to contest their removal. But if they fail to do that, he will refer it for prosecution, criminal prosecution for criminal contempt.
So there are two possibilities here. One, as I understand it, as I'm looking at the order, which is only a couple of paragraphs, as opposed to the much more lengthy details you talk about. First of all, if they have to purge their contempt, he wants them to file April 23rd. But then the second one for me is really interesting. If defendants opt not to purge their contempt, they shall instead file by April 23rd declarations identifying the individual or individuals who, with knowledge of the court's temporary restraining order, made the decision not to halt the transfer of